buyer system with constant demand rate. Only the single supplier, single buyer. But, however, the paper define the supplier more like the OEM supplier. And why the paper need to define the supplier as an OEM supplier? Because of the cost function. And later we will talk about the manufacturing cost function for the supplier. Manufacturing cost function for the supplier. So the buyer appears to be the leader, you see, as OEM, right? Otherwise it is very hard to argue. The buyer is the leader. Buyer is the leader. What is OEM? Original equipment manufacturer. Original equipment. Who issued the equipment? The buyer, right? Okay, the buyer. Certainly the buyer is the leader. In that specify order quantity according to its own cost characteristic and determines purchase prices for a certain amount of product provided by supplier. You see, there's a very strong leader, right? Not only determine the wholesaler price, but also determine the quantity. Determine the quantity. There are two things. Okay. So the supplier has no choice but accept the price. Okay, but the quantity, the quantity the supplier is willing to provide is determined by the suppliers for a given purchase price. Okay, so if for example, naturally if the purchase price is higher, okay, and the supplier would like to produce more, right? Yeah. Okay, let's read the definition and then the argument, and then we will come back to the original paper, the introduction of the papers. So, why is annual demand of the buyer? It's not unlike the EOQ model, is capital D defined as a demand, because Y is a variable. Okay, Y is a variable. May influence by the order quantity or the purchase price. Okay, so Y annual demand of the buyer is still constant, but it's a variable. Okay, it's a variable. So HB holding cost per unit per year of the buyer, and KP is settled cost per order of the buyer. And QP stock, determined by the buyer, is optimal based on the EOQ model. Total cost is also based on the EOQ model of the buyer. Before integration, or before VMI. And holding cost for the supplier is HS. And settled cost for the buyer is KS. Okay. So the supplier sees the buyer's orders. Every other, because order quantity is QP star, divided by the demand becomes what? Order interval, right? That's order interval. Every other QP star divided by Y years with order size, QB star. Okay. Then M, just like the Goyer's paper, okay, treated as an integer multiplier such that M times the buyer's order size. the same M equal the supplier's lot size is n minus 1 times the QB star. You see, there's a same as the Goyer's paper, same as the Goyer's paper. Back to the 1976, because there's an integer multiplier times the downstream orders. So then, this is still the result and not the way for analysis in Goyer's 1976. It's n minus 1, n minus 2, down to 0. Becomes what? Holding cost per cycle of the supplier. So how about the ordering cost? Is this one? Okay. You see, the demand are the same for both parties, right? Supply and buyer. So this is what? This is the size of order for supply, okay? Divided by Y, okay? Then take the first partial derivative over n. We will get this number. Because of the second order condition is larger than 0. Then the optimal ordering and holding cost of the supplier. Since we already have the M star, plug in the M star, we have this one. Okay. But this paper, like the Goyer in 1976, there's some process to determine because of the M star is an integer, right? But this one, since we are not sure this one is integer or not, right? We just plug in the number into it. But for the numeric example, okay. Next week I will release the mathematical template for this one, okay? We got to determine this number as an integer, okay? But in the paper just plug in the M star into it. So we can get a very nice total cost of the supplier in this format, okay? Just try to get the benefit of the expression, okay? The easy, and then we plug in the M star will be enough. So far, all the process is based on your previous knowledge about the vendor buyer system. Nothing new. Nothing new. Okay. So now we need to consider there's a new things. Now consider the annual demand for the buyer Y is a function of sale price of the product. Define P of Y to be the reverse demand function, sale price of the product, this function. But this one, there's no explicit function for that. Just say this is a decreasing and convex function. Decreasing and convex function. Okay? Decreasing and convex. And CY actually in this format. Okay. CY is the other production and distribution cost of the supply. So the first and second derivative is larger than 0. So this is increasing convex function. But how about this one? Some manufacturing cost function is in this format. Actually, for the manufacturing cost function, there's so many different forms, but somehow what does this mean? This is top. This is all the demand. Y. You see, that's why the paper argued that's OEM supply. So, for example, a new product released by the buyer, right? Okay? So, for the very beginning, the manufacturing cost is increasing because of the lack of experience. Okay? Then after some time, okay, we will get the benefit of the learning process. Okay? So then the total cost is going to become the what? Concave and increasing. So in this area is what? The unit cost is increasing. So here unit cost is decreasing. Okay? So this the unit cost is increasing, right? Unit cost. If there's a linear function, so unit cost is proportional to the demand. So this is what? Unit cost is increasing as the demand increases, right? So how about this one? The unit cost is decreasing as demand increases. Okay, this one. Okay, right? Unit cost is decreasing as demand increases. Okay, so that's why I argue for the new product at the very beginning, the unit cost is increasing as demand increases. But then later, the unit cost is decreasing. Okay. But the problem for this model is the demand is a EOQ base. It's going on and on and on. So it seems the unit cost is going to be reduced at some point of time. How to argue the paper's situation is also feasible in the practice. Okay. For example, the most popular news at this moment is about the TSMC and Huawei, right? TSMC has like 50% of its sales volumes issued by Huawei. Okay, 15%, that's a lot. Okay? And they do have a contract, but not necessarily based on OEM, maybe like ODM, okay? Original design manufacturer. But the contract is based on what? certainly mix with the new product and old product. Okay? And because of the product life cycle for their business is very short. Okay? So it's hard to get the experience to reduce the unit cost for one product. So what would be the relationship between Huawei and TSMC? They will have a so-called constant demand. But demand may be, the product of the demand may be different from quarter to quarter. Okay? But the demand can be classified as constant, but different product or revised product. Okay? That's possible. Yeah, that's possible. That's all I can say. If we try to save the argument of the paper. So then they need to define W as a contract purchase price determined by the buyer. Okay. We have a question about why the upcoming news about the industry is Huawei and TSMC. Because the US try to reinforce their so-called maybe like product or product development barrier for Huawei. Okay, now they have new policies to what? Prevent what? Huawei to utilize machine made by USA. And for TSMC and for maybe for all the supply chain for the electronic product, they all need to use US made machines. Okay, that will cut down the supply chain for Huawei. Yeah. So TSMC seems need to be worried about the issues. Though before the US announced the new policy, okay, TSMC decided to have a new factory in US. Yeah. Maybe in 2 years. And I read the news articles. So the initial investment for TSMC as a new factory in US is around like 12 billion US dollar, 12 billion US dollar for a new factory. Okay. So here is a defined W as the contract purchase price determined by the buyer. Okay. So condition on buyer and the supplier make their decisions individually, and the buyer will decide the buying price. Okay. So the profit function of the two parties is given the buyer. So this is the price. Okay. So this is the retail price. Okay. Retail price times the what? Demand. Y is demand. Okay. But the retail price is a function of the demand, right? So this is retail price times the demand. This one. So this is income, the sales income for the buyer, deducted by the wholesaler price to buy the demand, right? To buy the product from the supplier. So here is the what? Revenue for the supplier. So this is income for the supplier. You see? This is profit function. So before this one, including the CRE, including the manager, including the Goya, they are talking about the cost, right? So now the what? The price function per round. So they are talking about what? Profit function instead of the cost. Okay. So this is what? The inventory relevant cost for the buyer based on the EOQ model. So how about the supply? Income, wholesale price times the demand. CY is the relevant cost. And this is the same for this one. Total cost, total relevant cost for inventory. This one. Okay, we obtained this number in the previous slide. Total cost of the supply. Same based on the EOQ model, right? So this is ordering cost. This is holding cost. Condition on the buyer order the batch with the size of QB stock. So then the supplier need to determine the what is the multipliers to make the order on his own. So the result is this one. This is total holding cost, including the set cost for the supplier. So TCS here. So, for any given purchase price W decided by the buyer, so the supplier have a choice over the order quantity, the production quantity, to maximize the supplier's profit. Okay. So actually the paper never mentioned about the Stapleton gain. This is a typical type of Stapleton gain. You don't have to write it down because of the next paper. This one, the Stapleton. Stapleton. Okay, the leader. Determine something. determines, for example, A, then the following. Determines B. That's all for the step over again. For example, we go to the 7-Eleven, try to buy something. Okay? Who is the leader? 7-Eleven, right? They determine the price of the product, right? Okay? Based on the price, we decided what is the how much we are going to buy, right? So we are the following, right? We are the following. Okay. For example, the university determine the tuition based on the credit hours we are going to register. Okay, then the student are the followers, right? You will determine how many credits you are going to take, right, to finish your program. Okay, so most likely nobody are going to pay more. Okay, just try to finish the program based on the minimum credit, except what? If we have a tuition waiver, or if we have a scholarship, then we will try to learn as much as we can, right? Agree? I believe most of us behave the same way. So we have a 3+2 program. So for the first year, join the program. There's no what? Tuition fees for the credits you are taking, right? Okay? So the student in that program will take as many credits as you can, okay? I mean, that's based on the school regulation. You see the same with me. Okay? Actually, know how many credit hours for my first year master program I took. Around 18 credits. That's a lot. You know why? Because the tuition regulation in Michigan was, as long as the credit hour is over 9, they are the same. So I took 18, try to save the money. Normally the student will take no more than 4 courses. That's in terms of 12 credits. I took 6 courses. So I can finish my master program within two semesters. Without the seasons. Yeah. That's the way we do it, right? Just try to minimize the cost. Okay. Then after I joined the PhD program, the first semester, I couldn't get the scholarship. What did I do? Well, you might be the example. Since you don't have the full scholarship with you, right?
First semesters?
I mean, maybe at some point of time. Okay, since I was also a foreign student, so I need to what? Stick with the student status, right? So I have to register. Otherwise, I'm losing the status as a student. So that was the first semester of the year. So I registered up to 9 credits or so. And I withdraw all the courses at the end of October. I paid the penalty for around maybe 1 or 200 US dollars. Try to save the tuition up to 10,000 US dollars during the time. Okay, and then I pre-registered as a student in the middle of November. So there's only 15 days time window without the student status. So I was safe. Then for the next semester, since I got the full scholarship, so then I could possibly take as many as courses as I can. Yeah. You see, that's the relationship between the leaders and the followers under some relationship. It's all around. This kind of stable game is all around the world. Actually, the stable game is what? Is an economic terminology. Okay. Economic terminology. Okay. Now you understood the stable game a little bit more, right? Okay. Now for any given purchase price, W, from the buyer, the supplier chooses a quantity Y to maximize its profit. Okay? So the first one is what? We take the supplier need to determine the order quantity or the production quantity, right? So take the partial derivative over the supplier's profit function over the Y. So we have this one. The second derivative, since this is a profit function, if we try to get the optimal number Y over the first order condition, so for the second order condition, need to be less than 0, need to be convex to identify the function is concave. So that's why they need the behavioral function in this way, because what? The second derivative of the C is larger than a positive number. Okay, if we move this one to here, right? So this number needs to be larger than this number. So this is a positive number. Okay, so that's why they need the manufacturing function